Last week I talked about DC Comics' current series of movies, and it's safe to say that in that category, Marvel has them beat. But what about the small screen? Television. DC's most recent venture into television began in 2012 with the first season of Arrow, based on the comic book character Green Arrow. Now there is a whole universe based off this show, with many series and more rumored to come. But I'd like to take a look back on the season that started it all, Arrow Season 1. Let's jump right into it. This is a stellar first season for a superhero show. It establishes several very good things. Believable acting, interesting characters, intriguing plot, and the best directed action I've seen on a superhero show. This show was essentially following up Smallville, which was a long-running CW show that was about the origins of Superman. Really good show, I highly recommend it. These two shows are in completely different universes, but they both aired on the same channel, and Arrow debuted the year after Smallville ended. If you compare season 1 of Arrow to season 1 of Smallville, there are a few things that stick out to me. 1. Arrow is better directed. 2. Arrow is better acted. Or at least its leads are. Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor is really hard to beat. 3. Arrow has better action. Although Smallville was never very action focused, it was always pretty character based. The things that Smallville started off better than Arrow with is a more interesting romantic plotline, more likable characters, and to me at least, more relatable scenarios since it starts out when Clark is a freshman in high school. Obviously, I'm still in high school. One thing I did really think was interesting that I noticed about the two shows is that Felicity Smoke and Chloe Sullivan are essentially the same character. They are the nerdy, funny, and super helpful third wheel that happens to be blonde and have a crush on the main character. I just thought that was interesting. Regardless of how its first season stacks up against Smallville's first season, this is still a wonderful start to a show. The flashback side of things is very interesting and is handled very creatively, and it leaves you more and more interested with each episode on what the heck happened on that island. And the major plot arcs in the present and the past are both overall very good, and there are some interesting mini arcs thrown in as well. The only major complaint I have about the show at this point is this. The episodes have a very formulaic structure. A problem is established, sometimes multiple. One of these problems causes a conflict between Oliver and someone else. Usually it's Diggle. They end up arguing about it, and either Oliver or Diggle decides to try to solve the problem on their own. They fail. Then one of them realizes that they were in the wrong, they apologize, and then they work together to solve the problem. In the background, Oliver is having major issues with his family and friends, and Diggle has something going along in his life too. This structure is used a lot throughout the season, and it's sometimes stretched over a few episodes, but it's often just one. Is this a bad thing? It's not necessarily good, but it doesn't ruin the show at all. Smallville seasons 1 and 2 were guilty of doing this too, where they recycled the same plot structure over and over again per episode. It's just a common thing mostly when shows are just trying to find their footing. Overall, it's a good season to a, so far, very good show, and I would recommend it to any fan of the comic book genre. In their early stages, shows often get better as they go along, and I've heard Arrow does just that. As you can probably tell, I'm nowhere near caught up to present day on this show, but I own the first 3 seasons, so I've got a lot of watching ahead of me. So that's going to be about it for this week. If you like this video, I would encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. I'd also love to hear your thoughts about Arrow Season 1 in the comments, and until next time, have a great week. Bye. Believable acting, interesting characters. Believable acting, interesting characters, intriguing plot. Believable acting, interesting characters. Believable acting, interesting characters. Oh my gosh.